Welcome back to News for Normies, everybody. Like I start every video with, if you've got some normies in your life, share this video with them, especially since we're coming up every week closer and closer to the election. So, with that being said, let's get started. So last week I talked about how Google is being ruled a monopoly by the federal government. And good news, the DOJ is actually trying to move forward with breaking up Google because of this. I didn't think anything would actually come of this, and I'm still kind of doubtful about it because, as we know, and I'll talk about later on in this video, Google is definitely on the side of the Democrat Party and the Uniparty that rules Washington, D.C. So, it surprises me that they are going after their ally, essentially, in this matter. Some more good news before we get into weird news and then not so good news. The state of Pennsylvania has seen an uptick of voter registration with a ratio of 4-1 for Republicans. So if you have no idea what this means, 4 times more people are registering as Republican than Democrat in the state of Pennsylvania. So, this gives me a little hope about the state of Pennsylvania, as it is one that presidents need to win in order to secure the election. But with that being said, if you live in Pennsylvania, and quite frankly for all of my right-leaning viewers here, don't let this kind of stuff get you complacent. If anything, this should mean that you need to put the pedal to the metal as much as you can, and get out and vote whenever possible. Get your friends out to vote, your family out to vote, coworkers, and if you're not registered, go to your local board of elections if you can, or voteforamerica.org. I will leave that link in the description as well as a video link for something later on in this video. So, also don't believe polls. There's a ton of polls that's come out recently and news articles and stuff saying, oh, Kamala's up in this poll, and oh, she's surging ahead in the polls in this state, da-da-da-da-da. I don't think so. I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. The only people that want Kamala to win are illegal aliens who have come into this country for a free handout. So, anyway, moving on. Weird news. Secret Service is pulling some of their detail from Joe Biden and assigning them to Trump. I don't understand the point of that because one is currently the sitting president and one is running to be president again. So it would make more sense to keep more security around the current president, but I don't know. Maybe after all of the heat that the Secret Service has gotten recently, they decided, hey, it might be a good idea to put our A game on Donald Trump. Oh, and I forgot to put this in my notes, but Trump recently held a rally. I think it was in North Carolina, just going from rote here. And one of his Secret Service agents was not at her post because she went to breastfeed her baby. What in the world is going on with the Secret Service? Why? Why are you all this incompetent? Like, why? You all are getting all of our tax money, and you seem to be this incompetent. I don't understand. I get if, I am pro-family. I want people to have families who want to have families, and I want babies to be taken care of. But my God, you are protecting the guy who is the front runner to be the next president, and you're going to step aside to go, like, how does the Secret Service not have maternity leave? Every job has maternity leave. How does this one not have it? Like, what in the world is going on with the Secret Service? At this point, I'd like to just see them abolished too and be replaced with just private contractors to keep our politicians safe and protected, but I don't know. Moving on. Also, J.D. Vance's plane had some mechanical issues the other day, but they made a safe landing, and the situation was taken care of, so nobody was hurt, nobody was injured. Everything was good to go after that point. So to pull a Jen Psaki and circle back around here, the Harris campaign is buying political ads on Google, but they're just showing up as like normal search results instead of paid advertisements. One, I don't know how this is even legal, especially for a political ad and not just an ad for, tennis shoes or cookware or whatever. And it's highly immoral. I mean, this is clearly an act of voter manipulation to get people to think that either she is way better of a politician than she is, or to get people to believe that Donald Trump is worse than her. Which anybody that has common sense knows that these are not true. So the sham of corporate media being news is becoming more and more prevalent. This past week, Stephen Colbert had Caitlin Collins from CNN on his show. Colbert made a comment about CNN being objective news, to which the audience started to laugh without being prompted. It was just kind of a spontaneous thing. Completely caught them both off guard, and was a huge embarrassment to both Caitlin Collins and CNN. And they deserve it. They fully deserve it. That whole news station should just be shut down. And if you think I'm picking on CNN, I think also Fox News should be too, and I'll get into that here in a minute. But yeah, they also were making fun of Trump slurring his words when he was on the X Spaces with Elon Musk, which is very ironic and highly hypocritical because I remember, and Pepperidge Farm remembers, when these same people used to get upset with right-leaning people for pointing out Joe Biden's clear mental decline and how he just sounded awful during his debate and how he was clearly slurring his words. But they would get upset and say, he's had a stutter since childhood. So, any kind of negative backlash that they get over at CNN and at, Stephen Colbert's news organization or whatever is completely justified. No violence, but any kind of negative backlash they get, they deserve. And I'm also glad to see that more and more people are seeing past the propaganda now. So I almost think that people are kind of being like Rowdy Roddy Piper in the movie They Live, when he gets the glasses and can see past the alien disguise or whatever they had, where the aliens were blending in with the people, but he put on the certain glasses and he could see they were clearly aliens. I feel like more and more people are putting on the glasses and can see through their bullshit. So, speaking of bullshit news, Fox News is going against Donald Trump again, because they're running ads for the Harris-Walz campaign, and their polling is incredibly left-leaning. So anytime Fox News puts out a poll, it is very, very left-leaning. So I don't know how they can claim to be like the right-leaning alternative to CNN or whatever. Like, I don't think they actually do, but people see them that way. But they need to stop seeing them that way because they're just as bad. Also, let's not forget that Fox News ran tons of Hillary Clinton ads in the run-up to the 2016 election, which I thought was very, very weird. So, I'm sure people have heard about this by now, but several months ago, Donald Trump said that he was going to end the tax on tips if he's reelected. And now Kamala is pulling a Biden by plagiarizing Donald Trump's policy on no tax on tips. So, if you think that she is going to do this, one, she's not. Two, she's a liar. And three, we know this because she was the she cast the tie-breaking vote for the Inflation Reduction Act, which, spoiler alert, didn't work. And this piece of legislation also gave the IRS more authority to go after tipped wages. Would you look at that? The Democrats being hypocrites. Man, it's almost like the Harris campaign has no policies to stand on and is just pandering to get as many votes as they can. So yeah, if you are a server at your local, I don't know, Applebee's or Chili's or TGI Fridays or your local mom and pop Wingstop, or if you're a bartender, you know, and you live off of tipped wages, yeah, I would say it's going to be a safer bet to vote for Donald Trump than Kamala Harris, because, you know, actions kind of speak louder than words, and Kamala has already shown that she doesn't like you. So, whereas Trump, you know, the economy was good under him, but beating a dead horse into Elmer's glue at this point. Man, I got to talk about Kamala more. So she also says that she will enact price controls on major companies here in the United States, but yeah, this won't work because this is straight up communism and will lead to economic catastrophe. Anybody that knows the outcomes of communism knows that this will lead to, you know, economic disaster, product shortages on whatever. I mean, if you thought the toilet paper incident of 2020 was bad, this will be 10 times worse. And also, communism leads to millions and millions of people dying. I mean, you know, I will probably do a separate video on this. That way y'all know how bad communism is. But spoiler alert, in the 20th century alone, something like 200 to 250 million people died because of communism. But the Kamala Harris campaign is so bad right now that even the Washington Post mocked her by saying, effectively, if you don't want to be labeled a communist, don't do communist things. To which I actually have to agree. How about that? So this was funny. Karine Jean-Pierre, the worst White House spokesperson that we have ever seen, responded to a question from Peter Doocy this past week by firmly stating that Kamala Harris has been intertwined with all of Biden's economic policies. This was a pretty funny back and forth to listen to, because I almost felt like Peter Doocy was trying to give Kamala Harris an out on this one, but Karine Jean-Pierre like kept just being like, no, she was part of it too, and just like throwing her under the bus every single time. So with that being said, I actually have my own quick little conspiracy theory about this one. I think KJP has been treated so poorly by the Biden-Harris administration and saw this as an opportunity to get back at Kamala and just sink her campaign. You know, articles have come out in the past talking about how Harris can't keep any staffers for a long time because they just keep resigning en masse. So it wouldn't surprise me if she's also been just very nasty to Karine Jean-Pierre since Biden-Harris took over the White House. So that's my thoughts on that one. Okay, back to the news. Tim Walz was caught on camera saying, free speech doesn't apply to misinformation. I'm sorry, Tim, but it quite literally does. Because those who would decide what is and isn't misinformation would simply classify anything they didn't like as misinformation. I mean, we saw this all during 2020, especially in the later half of the year when people were starting to get the COVID jab and also getting sick from COVID, and they're like, oh, this thing ain't working now, and, you know, people were being silenced about it. Hell, even Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, held a press conference with top doctors from like Harvard, Yale, and Oxford universities or something, and it was taken off of YouTube for COVID misinformation. So, yeah, if you think that we're going to trust the government to decide what it is and isn't misinformation, you got to be dumber than Kamala to think that. I'm also reminded of lyrics from Metallica's song "And Justice for All," which was written back in like 1987, I think. I think the album came out in '88, but part of the lyrics of this song say, "You can do it your own way if it's done just how I say." That's literally how the government would go about deciding what is and isn't misinformation. You'll say what we want you to say, and if you don't, or if you say anything we don't like, you're going to go to jail. Oh, it's almost like we're seeing that in Britain right now with their immigration stuff going on. Huh, imagine that. Also, if you are a Democrat watching this video right now, I have a question for you. How does silencing your political opposition protect our democracy? Why do you want us to not question those in political power? Because you guys claim that Donald Trump is literally Hitler and he's a fascist and, all these other ists and phobes and you hate him for it. To which I think you're wrong, but I don't want you to not criticize people in power because people in power should be questioned at all times. But why do you think it's okay to do that to people on the right? Why do you have this, where does your moral superiority come from? I'm genuinely curious, and I'm also curious how silencing those you disagree with protects our democracy. So, if you have an answer for me, please let me know down in the comments below. I would love to know your answer to that. Speaking of Democrats, the Democrat National Convention is going to take place this coming week, as of me recording this, in Chicago. However, Muslim leaders in the area are claiming to be expecting 100,000 pro-Palestinian protesters. I don't think this many people will show up, but, maybe a tenth of that. So, still 10,000 people. That's a lot of people. Also, the DNC is going to be held in two separate, stadiums in Chicago. So, it's almost as if they're expecting some bad stuff to go down. Now, I am not advocating for any violence or violent riots to happen whatsoever. If there are protests, I would like to see them to just be completely peaceful. But if I had to take a guess, my money is not on that one. My money is not on things being completely peaceful. So, to any military vets watching this, on this one, I am sorry. The Taliban held a military parade this past week with a mix of Russian and U.S. military equipment, which was everything that we left after the embarrassing pullout thanks to the Biden-Harris administration. If I remember correctly, a lot of their the land vehicles they were operating were U.S. equipment, and their aircraft they were flying were Russian equipment. So, if you still think that the Harris administration will operate on behalf of the American people, you are wrong, because the U.S. government, on top of the one-time accidental payment of $239 million to the Taliban, the federal government is also giving them $50 to $85 million per week. So please, ask yourself, why in the hell are we giving the Taliban $50 to $85 million per week when people in our own country cannot afford to buy groceries or pay rent? If you think politicians are your friend and are going to work on behalf of you, you are retarded and should not be voting. Simple as that. Okay? I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat at this point. If they do not think that we need to put America first, they are not your friend and need to be voted out. Simple as that. Ugh. Okay. So a Jordanian national named Hashim, if I got that wrong, don't care, was arrested in Florida for attempting to attack a power plant with explosive devices. He also allegedly attacked and vandalized businesses at night, of course, so he wouldn't get caught, whom he claimed supported Israel. Now, I am critical of Israel myself, but this guy was clearly doing this as a motivated terror attack. And quite frankly, if you're going to attack a power plant, that would cause a lot of problems. And especially in Florida, if you got AC running and stuff, people would die from that. So, I personally think this guy should be put on a catapult and launched out in the middle of the ocean. But our Constitution says that we can't do that, so he'll probably just get a slap on the wrist and be let back out on the street. He better watch out for Florida Man, though, because Florida Man is crazy. Speaking of crazy Muslims, Iran is attempting to interfere with our elections, but on behalf of the Democrat Party. They've been trying to hack into Republican computer systems in order to cause chaos for the RNC. Also, the United States allegedly gave Iran the names of Israeli officials who were involved in the killing of a Hamas leader in the country of Iran. From what I understand, these 10 Israeli officials are still in Iran at this time. Do y'all remember when left-wing lunatics kept screaming about how Trump was going to get us into World War III with Iran or North Korea or with China or with Russia, and how Donald Trump didn't start any new wars while he was in office? Well, it sure seems like the Democrat Party is trying to get us into more wars now. I mean, look at Ukraine, Russia, look at Israel, Gaza, look at this kind of stuff going on where they're just helping, Iran with this kind of stuff. It really seems like they are trying to get us into war. Yeah. So, again, I will never vote Democrat, and I'm going to be very, very picky on who I vote for on the Republican Party. Okay. Coming to an end here. So, a minute ago I said I will be critical, and I have been critical of Israel. And this is a big one, okay? So, for all of my Christians watching this one, I want you to remember this, next time you slap a I Stand With Israel bumper sticker on your car, and when you just blindly, side with Israel on things. An Israeli finance official named Bezalel Smotrich said in a recent interview, that the Israeli army is worn out in Gaza, which I can understand. They've been fighting, Hamas for almost a year straight now. And, quote, the only way, end quote, to win the war is to starve all 2 million people in Gaza to death. Okay, so again, remember that next time you slap an I Stand With Israel sticker on your car. I don't, people will quote Bible verses, that says that, God said to Abraham, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. But I don't think God's going to be blessing a country that's intentionally starving 2 million people to death. All right? So we shouldn't be giving any more money to Israel either at this point. Again, like I said, why are we giving money to other countries while our own people here can't buy groceries or pay their rent or mortgage? Also, this Israeli official's comments came after 9 IDF reservists were arrested for gang raping a POW in their custody. Yeah, God's really going to bless those kind of people. Yeah. God's people right there. His holy people right there. Raping, Gaza POWs they have in their custody. Yeah, okay. So, I'm going to leave a link to a video from the Jimmy Dore show, because he kind of gets more into the weeds on this one. I just wanted to bring this up as a real quick quick and dirty news story to you. And if you don't think we should be giving any more money to Israel, Ukraine, Pakistan, or any other stan or any other country, hit that like button. So, we all know that our country has faced a immigration crisis for a while now, and this is where it's leading to. Tenants in Aurora, Colorado apartment complex are being kicked out of their places of residence so that illegal aliens have a place to live. This country is currently and has been being invaded by foreigners for years now, and the federal government is very complicit in the act. This kind of stuff is a real quick way to get people voting for Trump and Trump-like people in the future. I mean, I don't understand how you couldn't at that point. You know, when you keep voting for Democrats who keep bringing in people like this and just leaving our borders wide open for everyone to just walk through, this is the kind of stuff that happens. We also know that Chicago and New York City and big cities in California like LA and San Francisco are also facing, you know, the same kind of problems because they are sanctuary cities. Whatever. But yeah, keep voting Democrat. That's the kind of stuff you're going to get. Before Elon Musk held his X Spaces with Donald Trump, the European Union threatened Elon Musk with legal problems for hosting Trump, citing their laws. Real important to keep that in mind. They're citing their laws about spreading hateful rhetoric and misinformation. Likewise, the UK which is the United Kingdom, not the University of Kentucky for anybody watching. The UK government is threatening extradition to Americans who talk bad about the UK and or how their immigration policies have ruined their country. So, to that I have to say, sorry, bud, your laws don't apply to our land, and quite frankly, my ancestors left your country because your king was so bad, and my ancestors also hurled musket fire and cannonballs at redcoats for this same kind of thing. So I would love to see y'all try. Get to West Virginia and let me know how that works out for you. So finally, some good news. Elon Musk did end up hosting that X Spaces with Donald Trump, to which at one point there were 1.3 million people watching it live, or I think probably listening. I don't think they have video quality or video capability. But anyway, the corporate media was furious about this, and they were panicking because they know more and more people are seeing through their lies. Like I said, more and more people are putting on the glasses like Rowdy Piper and seeing through their guys here. They also claimed Donald Trump had a lisp during the conversation with Elon Musk, but it wasn't a lisp. You know, it wasn't like a Mike Tyson lisp. You know, it was a slush. All his S's and SH's sounded very slushed. But we all know that Donald Trump doesn't normally talk like that. Okay, we've all seen videos of him in interviews and doing rallies and stuff. His speech is just fine. This was some sort of an audio issue. I don't know if it was because of maybe his phone or some kind of microphone or anything or something like that. Anyway, anyone who's recorded any kind of audio or video knows that this kind of stuff can happen, unless you have like condensers or you know, a certain kind of software set up in place or whatever. So, you know, again, the corporate media is full of it, and they are deathly afraid that that they're going to lose this election. So, with that being said, you know, I got to quote the shirt I'm wearing here: "Fear not. Don't get complacent and get out and vote." So, with that being said, I will catch you all next time.